Dignity Matters.
Welcome back here to HMTV. I'm your host, Rich Acritelli, and on today's second episode with Fred Sganga on the fog of war and humanity, we were just talking about the Long Island State Veterans Home at Stony Brook University. We were just mentioning Agent Orange and the veterans. I mean, you're seeing that a lot with the Vietnam veterans. And
yeah, I mean, every war, every combat has their signature injuries. I mean, when you talk about Afghanistan and Iraq, that's going to be respiratory issues that our veterans are facing. A lot of frostbite in the Korean War. But the Agent Orange, to me, has been the biggest and baddest of all. It was jungle warfare. As you know, to eliminate the jungle, to find the enemy, we sprayed a lot of Agent Orange. If that got sprayed on you and you didn't catch a shower for a couple of days, that stuff penetrated into your body, and it's causing a lot of
now, are
havoc.
you seeing veterans that are so many years after the Vietnam War, 50, 60 years after the war,
Yes.
that were inflicted with this, that they're finally somehow they're getting tested so many years after the fact and it's coming out of them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different for everybody based on their exposure. But, the trend that I see, and don't forget, I'm getting the veterans. Right now, today's census at the home was 318. And out of that 318, about half of them are Vietnam veterans. And the issue, Rich, is that our Vietnam veteran population at this time is between the ages of 77 and 80. Nobody in that age group should even be in a nursing home at the end of the day.
And how many was it? 300 are Vietnam veterans?
About half.
Half of them.
Yeah.
So 150 of Vietnam
approximately,
veterans.
yeah.
How many out of that 150 have Agent Orange?
I would say the majority of them had exposure.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they had exposure to it, but are they sick with it?
Yeah,
Or?
yeah. I mean, it exacerbates in many different ways. The biggest way is the cancers, the bladder cancer, all kinds of different cancers, the leukemias. But we're also seeing a lot of neuromuscular illnesses, a lot of multiple sclerosis, ALS, Parkinson's, very big.
Do you have any relationships with like the federal government or the higher state government where they'll send people, doctors, medical fields to work with you?
Oh, yeah, no. The home is part of Stony Brook Medicine. For those who live on Long Island, we were the first medical school on Long Island. Stony Brook Medicine has a dental school, a medical school, a nursing school, a school of social work. So we're right across the street from all the action. We're technically you've heard the term teaching hospital. We're actually a teaching nursing home, because if you were to visit us during the day, you would see a plethora of medical students, nursing students, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy students.
I've written letters of recommendations for nurses.
Right.
There.
So we serve as a training site for future geriatric professionals for all the schools across the street at Stony Brook University.
Does Stony Brook do any testing when it comes to the Agent Orange? Will they work on that?
No, I mean, that's usually through, when you say testing, the testing relates to your cancer, relates to your neuromuscular illness. So, if you've seen an oncologist or maybe a neurologist, that's where we get those referrals at the end of the day. By the time you get to us, you're not finding out about your illness. You already know about your illness and what that illness has done to you. What puts people in a nursing home, if I can take a moment just to educate your audience, we use an acronym called ADLs, which means Activities of Daily Living. Let's talk. Can I test you, Rich? Is that possible?
Yeah, but I'm one of those people. I'm learning right now.
All right. So
I might fail this.
Here's the question. When you woke up this morning, was it easy for you to get from your bedroom to your kitchen without any? The answer is yes, Rich. Come on.
Yes, but I'm starting to get a little bit older. I'm starting to feel it now.
Well, that's called transferring.
Yeah,
and you didn't.
I'm transferring. Yeah.
But you didn't need assistance to do that.
No.
Okay.
So,
did you? I don't know how many meals you had today, but did you feed yourself?
Yes, at least twice. Yep.
I'm not going to make a statement about your fashion that you're wearing right now, but did you dress yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe a couple of times during the day you had to toilet yourself?
Yep.
Okay. And I'm not going to ask you when the last time you took a bath or shower, But when you do take a bath or shower, can you do it on your own?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so those are activities of daily living. So we're talking about transferring, we're talking about bathing, toileting, eating, and dressing. Usually when you have issues with 2 or more of those activities of daily living, that makes you a candidate for a skilled nursing facility. The other 6th factor...
And your people take care of all that.
Yes, and the other 6th factor could have to be with memory care, from the perspective that you might be on a myriad of medications, and because of your mental incapacity, you don't know when to take your medications. So, a little bit about the home. We do short-term rehabilitation. So for our veterans listening to the podcast who might have had a hip replacement, knee replacement, maybe some open heart surgery, we should be your first choice. We do traditional long-term care, and that's where if you've had issues with 2 or more of those ADLs, we can care for you. We also have a Alzheimer's dementia unit. So for a veteran suffering with that illness, we can take care of them. And believe it or not, we do very good end-of-life palliative care at the home. And for those listening in the audience, whether that's for 6 months or 6 days, please know to reach out to the Long Island State Veterans Home for that kind of care, because we provide that.
Now, you mentioned a lot of different illnesses and ailments. What's the big one that you're seeing now? Hip replacements?
No, it's everything and anything. I can't target any. A lot of it has to do with respiratory or pulmonary or cardiology. It's just all the normal things that evolve with aging. But exposure to, let's say, Agent Orange or OEF or OIF vets who had the respiratory exposure, that exacerbates a lot of the medical illnesses at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when we look at your home, what is the differences between the social and medical, like the model daycare that
so
you
you're
guys
asking
have?
me about, that's a great question. So I told you in an earlier podcast that there's 172 state veterans homes in our country. Only 3 of them provide medical model adult day health care. So we do that. The State Veterans Home in Minneapolis, Minnesota does that. And for our listeners in Hawaii, there's a home in Hilo, Hawaii. They do medical model daycare. So there's 2 types of daycare. One is social model, one is medical model. Social model means we're going to feed you breakfast and lunch, and you're going to play a lot of bingo during a 6-hour period. Ours is a medical model. So you'll get breakfast, you'll get lunch, you'll get some bingo, but if you have a wound care treatment that needs to be done, we're going to do that. If you have a nebulizer treatment, we're going to take care of that during the day. We can do your dental care, we can do optometry care, we can do physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. You might need a phlebotomy where you need blood drawn. You might need an x-ray or an ultrasound. We can do that for you right at the home. And in addition, if you need something as simple as hair care, we can get you a haircut at the same day. The big deal here, Rich, is for our caregivers. Think about the 88-year-old wife who's taking care of the 89-year-old husband, or maybe we have a veteran who's in his 90s, his wife has passed on, and now the children are in charge of his care. Our daycare program is just a unique answer to all their issues related to caring for their veteran loved one. So what I just described to you, our program is 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. The veteran will be with us from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., and we'll take care of all those needs while they're at the program.
How many people are involved with handling all those services and responsibilities?
Well, I have 600 employees in total. In my daycare program now, I have about 80 people registered. On any given day, we take care of about 35 people.
Is that a lot to have 80 people registered? Is that a large number?
I would love to triple that number if I could, but it's based on space at the end of the day. The good news is we're not turning anybody away, and we'll certainly get you in for at least once, twice a week if we have to.
Now, are those full-time residents or people that you could bring in from the outside also?
So that's a great question. If you live at the home, you're called a resident, but if you're in our daycare program, we call you a registrant, because here's what happens at the end of the day. You're going home and sleeping in your own bed.
Is there any, outside of the family members bringing back and forth, right? Is there any like...
Oh, no, we provide transportation.
You provide transportation,
Yes.
right? And is that also what, AmVets also?
No, we partner with a private ambulance company.
Wow.
Right. But I want to talk about benefits if I can. It's very important that our veterans who are in the audience, and this applies to veterans no matter where they are in the United States, if they're listening to the podcast, people should know that if you've been honorably discharged from the service, VA has 2 sets of benefits related to long-term care. The first benefit is known as the VA per diem, and currently at this moment in time, Rich, every veteran is entitled to $144.10 per day towards nursing home care. The kicker is that those veterans can only use that benefit at one of the 172 state veterans homes in the country. So if you served our country, one of the 6 branches, you've been honorably discharged, you can certainly go to any state veterans home, again, if you need nursing home care, and use that benefit as partial payment towards your
Is that also for reservists and guardsmen as well?
So that's a great question, only if they've been activated.
Activated.
Yeah,
okay.
The most famous one I can tell you is the 1969 mail strike, where they took a lot of the Guard and a lot of the Army Reserve, and those guys were activated, and gals were activated for 1 day to deliver mail, and that technically makes them veterans.
Wow.
So we can take those veterans.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel bad for those Guard and Reserve who might have done 20, 30 years, weekend warriors, as I think we call them, but never got activated. They technically are not entitled to come to the veterans home. You have to be activated.
All right, so then what are other things that you, in terms of some of the paperwork, where you try to help families and veterans?
Well, when the family comes, we certainly assess them medically if they require either skilled nursing care or medical model daycare. And then we want to make sure financially that the care can be paid for at the end of the day. We accept Medicare, we accept Medicaid, we accept private long-term care insurance, and we even take private pay at the end of the day. So if you're paying privately, which means maybe you didn't do proper elder care planning as you were aging out in the process, you still get that $144 a day from the federal government to help pay for your care. There's a second category, though, Rich, that I want people to be fully aware of. For our veterans who have a service-connected disability, we don't do the rating. The VA does that rating. But if you're a veteran in VA care, and you either have a mental or physical disability from military service, even if it was training, whatever that be, the VA will give you a rating anywhere from 0 to 100. It's very important for your audience today to know that if you have a service-connected disability rating of 70% or more, you get no-cost care at any veterans home in the country, meaning that you don't have to go onto the Medicaid program and you don't have to pay privately out of pocket. I want to connect the dot.
And that's a big help, too.
It's a big help, and I want to connect the dot here because many of our Vietnam veterans, of the 150 I have today, probably 80% of them are 100% service-connected disabled.
Wow.
So they're we're taking care of them. We're honored to care for them, but the good news for them is that they don't have to pay for their care.
And you deal with this every day because this is, for you to talk about this, I mean, it just flows. This is part of your daily responsibilities.
When you asked me, can I come on the podcast, my biggest thing is getting the information to the veteran. And I'm hoping that a lot of veterans are listening today. Again, the VA will never come to you and tell you what your benefits are.
So you almost have to educate yourself.
Yeah, and we're in Suffolk County. You know that. Stony Brook's in Suffolk County. What we're planning to do for the rest of this year is make a big pitch in Nassau County. We're working with Ralph Esposito, the Director of Veteran Services for Nassau County. And anywhere that you can put 3 or more veterans in a room, any VFW post, American Legion post, DAV post, VVA post, we're going to come out and alert you and tell you about the benefits of the home. Now, we struggle because
it's Long Island, you get...
Long Island could be its own state, Rich. But
you get guys from Nassau County that come out.
Yes, we got guys from Queens. I've gotten people from Westchester County. One of the things
that goes to show you about the care that you're given.
Well, the care I want to be humble. The care is great. Not that we don't have issues. Every skilled nursing facility will have an issue every once in a while. But what we face is the fact that when you have to put your loved one in a nursing home, most families want that nursing home to be within a 5 to 10 minute drive time of their regular home. And we say, put that aside because we want you to sleep at night knowing that the care is good. So we're making a big pitch to Nassau County. We would tell the elderly spouse of a veteran to pay for an Uber ride a couple of times a week to come out to the home. But it's more worthwhile that the veteran gets his or her benefit and takes advantage of it at the home, and the care is good at the end of the day. I'm a little different, too, because our medical model, we're blessed to have 5 board-certified geriatricians who work full-time at the home. Most nursing homes have doctors from the community who come in once a month. I have 5 full-time geriatricians. 3 of them are double boarded in internal medicine and geriatrics. 2 of them are triple boarded, internal medicine, geriatrics, and palliative care.
Now, I know we spoke about it in the first episode where you guys were doing the construction for the outside.
Right, for the courtyard.
For the courtyard. You ever think down the road that the main part of the hospital where the beds are and the home and everything, will that ever get expanded on? Do you ever think?
You know, I don't see that, Rich, and I'll tell you why, and anything can change, but there were approximately 200,000 veterans on Long Island when I took my position as executive director back in 2001. We're down to a little less than 100,000. So is the need going to be there? The answer is probably no. I think what's going to happen is that down the road, we might even downsize. I didn't say close. I want to be very careful.
But even after all the fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan and all the...
I think so. I think
you're still going to have a little bit of a demise.
Well,
in the
you
numbers.
tell me. You know the veterans better than I do, but here's what happens. If you were originally from Long Island and you served in a base down in San Antonio and you saw that you can buy a house for
you might have stayed there, yeah.
If you could buy a house for $150,000.
And all you hear is, well, we're leaving. We're going down south, out west, right?
You know, there's not a very young veteran population on Long Island.
That's staying here.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we as a society, we're facing high housing costs, you know, high cost of living. And I still think there are other parts of the country.
So you have a high population of veterans,
but
Nassau and Suffolk County,
but
that
mostly
served,
65 and older.
But they're leaving at some point.
Well, some of them have left.
Because of the cost.
Right. Some have left for the cost. Some of them, you know, have gone down south. Listen, where are they building new homes? We're building new homes, state veterans homes, building new homes in Florida, building new homes in Tennessee. There was just one that opened up 2 weeks ago.
South Carolina and Georgia,
South Carolina. Georgia still only has 2 homes, but South Carolina and Alabama, believe it or not, are building new homes.
What about Tennessee and Kentucky? I know
Kentucky is not, but Tennessee is. Tennessee is up to 6 or 7 homes now, state veterans homes.
Do you guys share ideas? Like when because you're one of the older chiefs now out of the whole system.
Look at my hair color. Come on.
No, but you're an experienced guy.
Yes.
In terms of private and now public in terms of state.
So we belong to the National Association of State Veterans Homes, 172 homes.
So that would almost be like considered like a guild or cooperative.
Yes, and we get together twice a year. In fact, we're getting together next month, August, in Louisville, Kentucky. We gather once a year in February in Washington, D.C., and part of our efforts is to change legislation in Congress. We actually have 3 bills, Rich, right now in the House of Representatives. For those who are listening, shout out to all the House of Congress members who've supported state veterans homes. Big shout out here on Long Island to Nick LaLota, Andrew Garbarino, Laura Gillen, and Tom Swazi. Every time I've approached them with
Swazi's a local guy here in Glen Cove, where we're at.
Anytime we've approached Tom or Nick LaLota, Andrew, or Laura Gillen, I got to say that our Long Island delegation of congressmen and women are very pro-veteran, respective of political party.
And you have to keep those bills going because it's changing, or you have problems that don't get fixed.
Well, sometimes
they get worse, right?
I have a quick problem now. There's a piece of legislation that we're trying to pass. It's called HR, which means House of Representatives 1970, and it's the Veterans High Cost Medication Act. And this relates directly to our Vietnam veterans, because here's what's happening. The VA will pay me for those full cost of care veterans. They pay me about $21,000 a month to care for them. But I have some veterans who are on chemotherapy or biologicals where their monthly medication costs could be $80,000, $90,000 a month. And I'm only getting $21,000 to pay for them. Now, most of the times we eat the cost, but this bill, HR 1970, is going to force the VA to pay us the additional cost of those medications. What's happening is we need a change in the federal regulations, because the federal regulations have been around forever. And what's been happening in the last 5-8 years? In the old days, if you needed chemotherapy, I had to put you in an ambulance and send you to the hospital. Now, that same chemotherapy is in a pill, and I can give you that pill in a nursing home, but that pill's $800. So big change, big cost involved. Big Pharma is finding new cures to different things. And we never, ever want to say no to a veteran because his medication costs are above what the VA is paying for us. So we think this legislation is going to pass, And one of my other hats is I'm the legislative director for the National Association of State Veterans Home. It's a volunteer position. But I was just in Washington 2 weeks ago where a group of us sat down with Doug Collins.
So you've learned how to lobby over the years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm actually a registered lobbyist from SUNY, State University of New York. But we're not part of the VA, but we're dealing with the VA and get reimbursement from the VA. I was just telling you 2 weeks ago, I had a privilege of meeting with the new VA Secretary, Doug Collins, had a very productive meeting and talking about issues of state veterans homes around the country. Listen, they have a, I don't like the word problem, Rich, I don't use it in my vocabulary, but they have an issue. The fastest growing segment of veterans is the 80, 85 plus years of age. That's the fastest segment. And the VA doesn't have enough facilities to care for all those veterans in terms of providing skilled nursing care.
Are they working on handling that major concern that you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is consistency. You know, we change VA secretaries every time we change president. So,
and then policies change and different views.
Of course.
And then politics always gets in the way.
You know, in fairness, I've been doing this a long time. I would say the majority of presidents have been very good to the State Veterans Home Program. I will tell you, because people currently, my favorite current question is, what's Trump doing with the State Veterans Home Program? He's doing nothing. He's enhancing it. He's really helping us because his idea is to push the money out of Washington, D.C. and back to the 50 states. So guess what?
Where they could handle it better.
Yeah, we're part of those 50 states. So it's been good. It's been very good.
So now, how many more years you think, are you going to just keep on going in terms of staying?
Are you asking that, or my wife is asking that?
No, I'm asking it.
You're asking me.
Because you have a lot of goals in mind.
Yeah,
you're only getting stronger. You're like a fine wine here, you know?
My opinion on that is, if you get up, look, and the majority of my employees on Sunday night look forward to going back to work on Monday. Most of us work for organizations where you get a paycheck every 2 weeks. It's usually direct deposit. But we're more than that. We're about mission at the end of the day. So if you ask me, Long Island State Veterans Home, what is the mission? What is the vision? What are the values that you bring to work? Listen, you know that
it's a lot of care.
Well, the definition, what do we call veterans, Rich? We call veterans the 1%. Do you know why we call them the 1%?
Because they're the ones who made that.
Less than 1% of Americans have served in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, and now the Space Force.
So what do they call that? They made that deposit of service.
Yes.
And now they're making the withdrawal in terms of the needs that they need, right? Or something along those lines?
They earned it. They earned it. Some volunteered, some got drafted. So you know how it works based on the history of our great nation. But we as an organization say, hey, if it's your time, you know, we're here to serve. And we want to exceed people's expectations.
I ask you about your time.
Yes.
Because you're a valuable source to some of these other states.
Yes.
That are seeing more numbers, and now they're building those.
In 25 years, I must have had 25 different visits from you. Everybody from Minnesota to Puerto Rico to Maryland to Tennessee. They've all come up to see the home. I got 2 visits scheduled before the year's over, because they want to see our best practices. So,
and I'm sure you're able to pick their brains on things. That
no doubt about it. That's one of the great things of dealing with or interacting with your colleagues every 6 months, is that you pick up great new ideas. By the way, we were the first home to bring virtual reality to the care of our residents. You say, well, what's the big deal about that? Maybe I can take you off a psychotropic medication, and through the use of virtual reality glasses, I can take you to your happy place, where you're not angry all the time.
Sure.
It could be in a butterfly park. It could be swimming with the dolphins.
Watching a ball game or something.
You could be driving a NASCAR race car, whatever that is. So we've done some pretty unique stuff over the years at the home.
Do you have anything down the road that you're looking at that you could talk about in terms of, like, you have the new outside?
Well, the new courtyard project. Listen, we have the full support of Stony Brook University. Stony Brook is definitely committed to our veteran population here on Long Island. And listen, I have the backup of a 650-bed academic medical center right across the street. So there's no illness or disease or injury that you can bring to us that we can't handle as an organization.
And you have a lot of technology that could...
Plenty of technology, plenty of firepower. And again, nobody wants to be in a nursing home. 40% of us will in the general population. But you know, the happiest place on earth, Rich, is Disney World. but the second happiest place is the Long Island State Veterans Home.
Yeah, I'm sure. Because you guys,
well,
you guys go out of your way.
We try to.
You help the people, and it's a great thing. And
thank you for letting me be on your podcast.
Fred, thank you very much. It's great seeing you.
Okay.
Fred Sganga, if you guys could help out the Long Island State Veterans Home at any time, it's...
Sure. Well, you can call us 631-444-VETS, 631-444-VETS, or just go to Google and type in LISVH or Long Island State Veterans Home and find out all about us.
And any golfers out there, third week of September on Thursday,
18th,
right? Thank you very much for tuning in to the Fog of War and Humanity here on HMTV, and we look forward to seeing you again.